you want to be better mentally, physically,
Yes.
spiritually. It's a big part of who you are. And even the projects you take on, which I want to dive into, that you said roles that challenge your spirit. Even that idea that you're looking at a role not as, oh, what's the next movie to get me the thing? It's like, oh, that's going to challenge my spirit. I wanted to ask, what has been your best habit or tool uniquely that you've developed for your body, your mind, and your spirit individually? What have been things that you've done with your coaches in different areas that you think has brought about new epiphanies, opportunities, and ideas? What have been those tools and hacks that maybe people could lock into as well?
I think there's this woman, Ramona Oliver, that I've known me my entire life. You know, she's my spiritual advisor and coach. And you know, I think starting the day, you know, in meditation, you know, you're taking a moment to clear yourself and prepare yourself for the day. It's so important to step out of your home with intent and intention. A lot of times it's, what are you projecting on a situation to help it manifest instead of negatively thinking about things that can help block your blessings? You know, that's a big thing, you know? So I think, and we all have moments of negativity. That's part of it. You know, it's yin and yang. You're never going to fully get rid of that. But to practice those things in the morning, I think was a big help for me.
Yeah, huge.
You know, you shoot movies and you're doing things, you're walking out, you know, you hear stories of people, but they just can't get a break sometimes. And for whatever reason, it could be from stepping off the curb, twisting the ankle, to, you know, the parking ticket, to the thing, to the, oh, I just can't get a break. And there's certain people that carry this cloud, you know, and I think some of that can be contributed to the thought process and the thinking and the energy that you're putting into these things. And it's sometimes easier said than done, but to stop and to reframe and to clear yourself and to, you know, no, I'm walking in this light today, and see how much of a difference that can make. And more on the structurally side, this guy, Drew Kugler, who, no relation to Ryan Coogler, who was an executive coach and you know, as my ambitions grew from production company to brand marketing consulting companies to, you know, just the products and the businesses, you know, the conversations I need to have with the team, you know, and leadership, and the everybody's coming from different backgrounds, and how do you speak everybody's love language? Because everybody, you have to speak differently a little bit to everybody so they can receive it the way you meant it, you know? And I think having the quality of conversations is something that was really helpful for me, meaningful conversations, and giving people the space to hear me and also hold them accountable to the things that I need to hold them accountable for. I think though the combination of the two allowed me to look at situations and opportunities differently, for people to look at me differently. Because it's also a troubling thing when you're walking around as talent for a long time. That's how they see you, you know? And
you have an identity.
I have an identity. That's what so there's these kid gloves that come along with that. You know what I'm saying? That is, it's not everybody's fault. Everybody's in a role. You have to sometimes just step back and look at the thing that we're in. You know, like, we're in an industry, you know, that has generations and generations of taught behavior and practices that any positive disruptor has to understand those things in order to disrupt them in a way.
Absolutely.
And evolve them, you know, and things are evolving. You see it, you know, things are evolving in a way. And if you can look at it in a higher way, I think you can find your way through that.
Yeah, that resonates. You remind me of this beautiful statement from Mark Twain, where he said that history never repeats itself, but it always rhymes. And I find, like, when you were talking about the industry, I was thinking about how if you don't study history, you have the rhyme happening in your life, but then you can't interrupt the pattern. So if you were a young star, which you were, like, I love The Wire as well. I've been a fan of the show. It's like, so you start in this industry early, and then you could spend years trying to figure out why you still have the kid gloves on.
Yeah.
because you haven't studied that, wait a minute, that's what happens, that unless you disrupt the pattern, present yourself differently, show more of yourself, people are always going to say, he's talent, he's an actor, that's what he does. As opposed to, oh, he's a director, oh, he's an entrepreneur, oh, he's an investor, right? I know you have lots of investments, all again in the health and wellness space, like sports teams, and we're talking about Moss as well. So it's interesting how much, if you don't study the history of our industry, we get locked in the identity of the role we've played in that space forever. And it's so easy for us to get used to feeling, and often we do it to ourselves because it's comfortable playing the same role. And there's a familiar feeling of when I play this role, and I felt that in my own small way, like when I went from having to create content to get my message out there, even though I wanted to do TV or film or whatever and couldn't get a break. And so I went to content. And then I launched a podcast, and I told you about why we launched this podcast earlier. And then I wrote books, and it was like every time it was like, oh, we thought Jay was this, but he's actually, and I've had to go through that. And I've realized the hardest part is you letting go of that identity.
And reinventing yourself.
And allowing yourself